Yeah.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. We got to talk about digital ID again. And a lot of people said, hey, I thought this was put to rest. I thought Mark Carney said there currently were no plans for digital ID in Canada, not only months ago. The budget has revealed, as it dropped last week, that plans are, in fact, moving forward for digital ID. We've often said that Mark Carney has been copying, like he always does, what the UK has been doing. But he copies everybody. He steals from everybody. But he copied what the UK has done by bringing in internet censorship laws, which look like they're well on their way forward. Thank goodness for Danielle Smith saying that Alberta will remain a free speech province. Hopefully that means channels like this one won't disappear in Alberta if those laws go through. However, first they bring in the censorship, then they bring in small little forms of digital ID, and then it's full-blown, you must have it, and they'll blame immigration like they always do. The signs are all on the wall, folks, and we're going to point them out here for you today, just so you have a better understanding that, yes, it is in fact moving forward in Canada. Rebel News put out an article recently, Canadian government moves forward with digital ID. It's a slippery slope toward total control, especially as U.S. lawmakers warn that the kind of digital authoritarianism once confined to dictatorships is now spreading across the globe. This is part of the World Economic Forum and all their little plans to keep you in line. And it's all about control at the end of the day, folks. Whether you believe in the WEF or whether it's your governments at all, when you look at the pandemic, when you look at the fact that, hey, you were locked in your house, your bank account was frozen if you dared to back those that the government deemed as unacceptable. The government likes to show full force, no matter who's in power, they're the ones that can tighten the reins. They're the ones that have control. Canada's Liberal government is moving full steam ahead with a centralized digital identification system for federal benefits claimants, including employment insurance and old age security. I'm going to show you another article backing this up as well. There's been rumor going around that they're doing this with taxes as well. They're going to implement a digital form of claiming your taxes, so that it's all one big bundle. If you can control those things, you can start to control your currency, you can start to control your freedoms. A recent budget note confirms a cabinet's green light for amendments to the Department of Employment and Social Development Act, promising more integrated and efficient services across the government, quotes Blacklock reporter. You can see that post right here. This is being sold to Canadians as convenient and efficient with no legal details provided. So you'll notice again, it's the same as the censorship laws where it's dressed up as, oh, we're just protecting the internet for your children. We're just making sure kids are safe online from bad words and harm, when really it's about protecting scrutiny against the government. Modernizing. I love that they use that word because that just is a huge red flag. Modernizing legislative authorities to support information sharing and digital services would particularly benefit groups facing barriers due to outdated paper-based processes, particularly seniors, said the note. I know a lot, and believe me, I'm not trying to insult any of the seniors who watch this channel, but I know even in my father's generation, there's a lot of people that grew up in his time that still don't know their way around a computer. They don't know how to do certain things online. Simply check their emails, maybe hit YouTube. But when it comes to navigating and circumventing the internet, I know there is still that generation that struggles to a greater extent than others who grew up with the technology. So again, not a slight at those people, but I've seen it firsthand. So why they're saying that, hey, this is easier for seniors, I don't know if that's the case. Funding for the Benefits Delivery Monetization Program was first approved in 2017 under Justin Trudeau, with preliminary estimates earmarking the program at $1.75 billion. While it may seem innovative, these policies often call for the invasive collection of biometric markers, location data, banking information, and jab records, laying the groundwork for surveillance state. So again, when you look at old age security, when you look at your tax information, any refunds you get from the government, they now have your banking institution, they have your account numbers, they have all your info. So if you dare to donate to another freedom convoy, if you go on the internet and say Mark Carney's a jerk, well, they can just shut you down. Sorry, you're not socially acceptable. We're not giving you money. And if you don't think that that's possible, look at the internet censorship laws that state that they have the right to cut out your telecommunications access, meaning that if you go against the government and say something naughty on the internet, they can pull out your internet connection and your cell phones. They can blacklist you and say you're not allowed to get service. The Department of Employment admits that the project is so convoluted that it required hiring external consultants last spring at an undisclosed taxpayer cost. Again, why would you need to bring people in if it was so foolproof? That's another huge red flag. A 2024 report from the Auditor General found, quote, it was unclear whether the development of a national approach for validating a person's identity digitally would proceed and whether the transition of a new federal sign-in system would be funded without presenting an unmanageable financial burden on departments. While the government swears digital ID is, quote, voluntary, isn't that how it always starts? Again, let's go back to the pandemic. If you have a health concern or a health reason, you don't have to wear a mask when you go into a store if you're exempt by health conditions. How long did that last? 5 minutes? Then it was mandatory. Then it was you can't go to restaurants, you can't go to movie theaters. You can only shop at Costco and Walmart where you're elbow to elbow with people. However, you can't go to spread out places like a movie theater where they could put people in certain chairs to ensure everyone was safe, if that in fact was the problem. The hypocrisy is never ending with the government when they say the words voluntary. History shows optional quickly becomes obligatory when convenience is dangled and alternatives are made cumbersome. I couldn't have said it better myself. Canada's Privacy Commissioner flagged personal information breaches in a 2023-2024 report to Parliament, noting that, quote, an increase in both the scale and complexity of breaches, as well as increasingly sophisticated nature of threat actors, including state-sanctioned ones and those emanating from organized crime. So your information, while digital, is at risk. I've talked about this on the channel where myself and my wife recently had our phones ported over without our consent. Our phone numbers were lost. They got into our phones, these scammers got into our phones, and we clicked on no phishing emails, nothing nefarious. It was just that they found our number through an email list, through data that's sold to them. They were able to gain access to our phones. They went into our banks. They took a ton of money from our accounts. And we're still in the process of having the banks get that back. But it happens. And now the government's saying, well, we want all that information, even though a report from 1.5 to 2 years ago states that, hey, that information is vulnerable. Not just for those who want to take your phone. Think about if the government had that kind of control. That should be scary as hell. In Canada, the Fed's 2 major airports and Air Canada have already partnered with the WEF on known traveler identity pilot projects. It follows a pattern of digitization, especially in health records, as the Public Health Agency of Canada recently called on contractors to help expand federal surveillance of Canadians' electronic medical records through the Pan-Canadian Health Data Strategy. Originating from the pandemic surveillance initiatives, this program seeks real-time nationwide access to primary care data to improve disease monitoring, including areas like long COVID, antimicrobial resistance, and mental health. PHAC aims to obtain the comprehensive EMR data, including full clinical notes for research and analysis working under ethical review boards. How ethical is it? However, this comes with serious privacy and consent concerns, including whether Canadians have been adequately informed and how their data will be ultimately used and stored. These concerns echo earlier controversies over federal monitoring of systems' cell phone data and online activity during the pandemic without their knowledge or consent. So again, they already have access to our data. What they're seeking here is the ability to control how much you have, whether they can turn it on, turn it off, or stop you from living your life. Reduce your bank account so much or shut it down altogether that you can't pay your bills. Either do what we say, get on board, or you're screwed. South of the border, a new congressional report warns that China's Communist Party is exporting its AI-driven surveillance and control technologies worldwide, which is creating a global framework of digital authoritarianism that threatens democratic freedoms and U.S. interests, as reported by the Bureau. They go on to say, could the West, once a bastion of freedom and civil liberties, be slowly sleepwalking towards a communist Chinese-style social credit system under the illusion of convenience and security? It's already here. And that's the reason for this video. It's just to let you guys know it's already full force. Now, people will say, hey, Fringe, they're just talking about old age security. They're just talking about your tax filings. They're talking about getting rid of paper and making it convenient for you to get online. They already have what's called your Canada ID. So if you want to sign in for things like EI payments, look at your last tax return, any kind of benefits you can get, you have to sign in with your My Canada account ID, which is still a form of digital ID. You can see Juno News has published a similar article talking about how it starts with employment insurance and old age security. The employment insurance one has been around for quite some time. But what you're seeing, and the reason that I say that this is all about control, how you know this is all to control the Canadian people and shut down their way of living, well, look no further. John Bolton was talking about this the other day. Shout out to his channel. Second reading of Bill S-206, an act to develop a national framework for a guaranteed livable basic income. Pardon my dyslexia. This was 5 days ago. So the second reading of a universal basic income bill has already happened. The Liberals are trying so hard to make sure that Canada remains a welfare state that those who work for a living are punished while people who want to sit around and claim welfare get free money. Now, nothing is free in this country. There's no such thing as free money. It has to come from somewhere. I've spoke to great extents on this channel about how the government has shown the framework to get the money for a UBI. Essentially, they're going to tax your equity on homeowners. They're going to pull out the equity that you've earned in your home to pay for their UBI so that a bunch of people who come to this country who don't want to do anything for a living can sit around, get rich, and comply with the government control in order to own nothing and be happy. Does it all make sense now, folks? When we tie it up in a bow like that, do you see the writing on the wall? Once you get a universal basic income, how are you going to sign up for that? Oh, you have to go online. You have to register online. You have to give your banking information. The government will send you your money every single month. Unless, of course, another pandemic hits. When they can tell you, get inside your house, don't come outside, don't speak to your family members, don't go to certain stores, don't vote for a certain party in an election, don't support people who protest. If you do any of these things, your social credit score is going to go down and you won't get the money that you now depend on and need in order to survive from the government. In fact, even if you work for a living and you don't take high-end benefits from the government, we still have your digital information via ID. We can shut you down. We can freeze your bank accounts. We can basically make you a leper to the world if you don't comply. But it's all for your safety, folks. It's all for your protection. I'll tell you, this is a scary world that we're living in. It's really scary to think this is where we're headed. But keep your eyes peeled, I guess. Keep questioning your MPs. Keep pushing. This is why I say independence in Alberta is the start. It's the starting point. Alberta must gain its independence in order for other provinces to follow suit, in order for people to get away from this corrupt government, because they're taking their final approach to turning this once free country into a dictatorship, a banana republic, whatever you want to call it. It's all to make the rich richer while the poor get in line. Soylent Green, all those things, 1984. It's all about to happen, folks. I hate talking like that. I really hate talking like that. Boy, I wish I could come on here and say, hey, good news. Good things are happening in the world and everybody's okay. But what we've seen in the last decade plus is that that isn't happening anytime soon. And it's up to the people to fight for what they believe in, to fight for their freedoms. Once again, not physically, but by pushing for things like independence is the only way we can break free from the tyrannical behavior of the government. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If it's your first time here, boy, I sure hope this video's earned your subscription. Make sure, if you're against digital ID, hit that subscribe button. Let us know you're joining our amazing, already greatest community on the YouTube platform. Join me live Wednesday and Friday nights for Unhinged Fringe on Wednesdays with my new co-host, Matt. Friday Night Fringe with the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we sit down in both of those shows and talk about everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know coming up in the week ahead, as well as Q&A within, again, the greatest YouTube community on the platform, full stop. I look forward to chatting with you guys each and every week outside of making these videos. It is my last bastion of sanity, so please join us in those live streams. You can catch us live every Wednesday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.